since 1972.
And so this is Mrs. Dr. Cecilia Ibru,
Dr. Cecilia Ibru.
our dear friend who's visiting Washington. And I reminded her what Janet told me about the Dominicans, and she's going to explain.
Yeah, so we were living, we bought the place, beautiful place, but because we're black, there was a lot of anxiety in the neighborhood. Oh, black people come and they run the place down.
Yeah.
So my husband heard about it.
And that's a famous, what is it?
Honorable Michael C.O. Ibru.
That's right.
My husband, he heard about the complaint of the neighbors that, oh, a black family is moving into that white neighborhood. They're going to run the place down. So, however, my husband took note of it. And then when we got there, we were looking for nurses and chauffeur that could help us. Because I had about what? Vivi was my fifth child. And I didn't have help. So my husband said we must get help.
How many children you had at that time?
At the time we were living when we lived in London, we had 7.
Okay.
But at the time we moved there, we had 5.
Okay. Who were they at the time, Janet?
The 5, there was Obadem, Mami Mo, Janet, Obaro, and Vivi.
Okay.
Those were the 5 then. Mm-hmm. Vivi was a baby.
Yeah.
And then it was there I had the other 2, Tejiro and Rudy. Rudy passed on, as you know. I don't know if you knew about it.
My condolences.
See, so we didn't know what to do. When I was there, I was pregnant with Vivi. And so I went shopping one day. And I went to a shop and I saw a black lady. So I got into the shop and they were selling African food items like, bitter leaf, gari, things like that we eat. Mm-hmm. So I went in there. It turned out that she was from Dominica, but married a Yoruba man from Nigeria.
Amazing.
And that Yoruba man had passed on.
Oh boy.
But so she maintained the shop and she had 1 son.
So the shop was owned by her?
Well, it was owned by the husband, but now that husband passed on, she took it over.
Yes.
So she was running it skeletally.
Yes.
But when I got there, so I was patronizing her all the time. And one day she said to me that, do you need house help? So I said, yes, I do. I want a nanny, somebody who will help me to look after children. He said, I'm going to get you somebody that will be like a grandmother to the children.
Amazing.
And that I will never have needs to look for any other person. So anyway, introduced me to the lady. Her name was Jerry. And Jerry came, shortish, pleasant, Dominican, they go to all these rum parties on Friday nights and they drink rum and so she resigned from the job she was in. Took her about 2 weeks to do that. Then she came and started living with me. And I can tell you, she was like a grandma to all the children. Mm-hmm. She was diabetic, but that didn't faze her. And whenever we went home, she would ask me to bring a lot of bitter leaf. And with bitter leaf, she would sort of, prepare it, and then she drinks it all the time for her diabetes. And she now was with us. From there, I had Vivi, I had Tejiro. Tejiro was like her baby. Tejiro was speaking French patois.
Amazing.
It's a Dominican language, I think.
So Dominica is between 2 French départements à travers. So it's the only country in the world between 2 parts of France, Martinique to the south and Guadeloupe. So you can see cars on Martinique at night. People go shopping, but France also had occupied Dominica. Okay. And there are a lot of people in Dominica with French background. Both genetically, because they always have relations with black people, yes. And of course by language.
She was called Geraldine.
Geraldine.
But we call her Jerry.
Jerry. My aunt is Geraldine too. Yes, it's a common enough. So they sing in patois and they speak in patois.
So my little girl was speaking patois.
Amazing.
Yes, because they were like, inseparable.
Yes.
And And they will be speaking patois. We don't know what they are talking about, but to the point that when she went to university, she was still with us, and then she wanted to build a house in Dominica, and she told me that she didn't have enough money and so on. So I said, okay, so what do you need? And we gave her some money to help build a house, and she built a very big house. And I said, who is going to live in this big house with you? He said, it's my house. My people have to know that, I have a big house.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's a big thing in Dominica to
Yes,
have
the
a big house.
returnees, yes.
And then she did that. After some time, she retired. But before she retires, she brought a lot of Dominicans to us. There was another lady called Anora. She was very particular. She was our cook. Her food was something else. Very neat, very clean, and she cooked very well. But she didn't want anywhere to be dirty.
What did she make for you? What kind of meals?
She made salads.
Macaroni and cheese?
She made macaroni cheese, very, very good. She made dumpling food.
Yes, soup.
She made a lot of Dominican food, but very tasty.
Yes,
So usually we eat that as well as Nigerian food.
Yes, yes.
And then she brought another lady. We call that lady Granny. She was about 80 something, but she was very fit, also from Dominica. And she was a granny to a big family, but she needed to earn some money. So she used to come and do 4 hours ironing of clothes with us every day except weekends. So from Monday to Friday, she would come. We used to call her Granny, very fit and study. She was one of those people who came to London to work in the early days.
Yes.
So she did that. Then there were 2 other women who used to come part-time, all Dominicans.
Yes.
So we had a team of Dominicans through Jerry, who brought all of them.
So Jerry worked with you for how many years?
Oh, Jerry worked with us for probably maybe about 20 years.
Amazing.
Then there's somebody else who also came from the men. These are just the women I'm talking about. Then we had the men.
So you had about 5 women?
Yes.
And how many men?
Men, 3 of them.
Amazing. All Dominicans?
All Dominicans.
What did the men do?
Now, one was like a maintenance man, If a nail was out of place, you put it back and make it, perfect. And then one was like an electrician, fix all the doors, fix all the lamps, make sure that no bulb was burnt. So we changed the bulbs, and if there was a loose wire, she will fix it. And then one was like a carpenter, was fixing, it's a big house, so there's always something to maintain.
Yes.
And they were all very good.
Were they give me a sense of their character as people.
Oh, character. None was a thief. Nobody stole anything from us.
Yes.
And they were like family, really.
Yes,
Whenever we were doing any party, they would come and stay with us and help us prepare for the party and take their position as member of the family.
Yes.
They were really, they gave me a sense of belonging.
Yes.
In London.
Did any of them stay with you? Or they went home at night?
Jerry used to stay with us when I traveled with my husband.
Yes.
He would come and stay in the house.
Yes.
She was the only person that we allowed to stay in the house. Because during the day everybody was working, they go home at night.
Yes.
But Jerry we were allowed to stay in the house and looked after the children, made sure the children went to school in the morning if I'm not there.
Yes.
So she was like really a mother's help and a grandma, really.
Amazing.
She was fantastic. Was a short woman. Not then. We used to take her to Nigeria.
Yes.
So the first time we got there, she was very excited.
Yes.
So I said, "Oh, this looks like home, Dominica."
Yes.
And then my husband's uncle, tall, elegant man, when he saw her, proposed to marry her. So I said, Jerry, are you ready to marry a native African man? He said, why not? I'll marry him. So anyway, that was a big joke. We didn't go very far with it.
But you know what's interesting? So the research shows that most of the people who came to Dominica from Africa came from what is today Nigeria.
Really?
So I went to do my DNA, and guess what?
Guess what?
40%.
Nigeria.
Yes,
Really?
40%. I will show. I will show it to you.
Wow.
Yes. So
That's
you know.
amazing.
Yes. So
A
when,
lot of people came from Nigeria, you know.
of course.
Even one of my closest friend, what's her name? We had Sharon. Yesterday, she had a little granddaughter the night before, so we went to celebrate the child. And she was saying that she is 40% Nigerian
Yes. Yes.
from Igbo.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know
Yes.
which area you came from. Maybe
I will show
Yoruba.
it to you.
Oh, but she was 40% Igbo, and she said, look at my color. It's all these mixed people forcing our people to have relationship with them that made them look light in complexion.
Yes, of course. So let me ask you this. You know, so when did Janet tell you that? When did Janet first tell you that she'd met me?
Well, first of all, when this case came up,
Yes.
and she told me that she's got some lawyers but she's got a very good one who is more or less African from Dominica. And I said, oh, Dominica, that sounds very familiar. And it turned out to be you.
Yes.
So from there on, we just had this, affinity with you.
Yes.
To knowing that, you are from Dominica and you have interest in education, you have interest in so many things that interest us as well, and you being her lawyer. And really, when she told, then I didn't really come to know you until my husband passed on.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And then we had this case whereby they were arranging to have an injunction on him not to go anywhere.
That's right. That's right.
And when I had it, I said, look, Janet, I call her also, look, we have to run with this. We can't leave it. So she told me, why are you going to do it? So I said, you leave it with me. Let me find out what is necessary to bring him in.
Yes.
So they told me I needed an import license.
Yes.
We have to import him back.
Yes.
So I said, how will I do that without raising an eyebrow in government? So I thought about it, and then I realized I had a friend who was member, who is actually working in the Nigerian Aviation Authority. So I called him up and I asked him, I said, can you keep a secret? He said, yes, ma'am. So I said, okay, this is the situation. I need a license, and nobody must know about it. And she got it. If you remember, we got it very quickly.
Yes.
Within about 48 hours. We got the license, and then I sent it to Osio. Osio sent it to you.
Yes.
And then I told Osio, yourself and Tejiro have to come with the body.
Yes.
And then they arranged, and meanwhile I was in Nigeria. So I arranged with one of my husband's well-positioned cousins who was in the oil industry. So he had all the paraphernalia of movement.
Yes.
When you move, you don't move alone, you move with police, you move with vehicles and so on.
Yes.
So I told him what has happened and that I want Daddy to come home without any noise. So I told him, I said, I will going to, usually when they come home like that, you welcome them with a dance. He said, no. You don't want that. I said, I don't want that either. Otherwise, everybody will know. So anyway, so Osio and Tejiro were on the same flight as him.
Mm-hmm.
And they came down. Rather than come home, they went and met.
I chose the casket.
Yes.
Yes.
But I'll tell you the story of the casket later. So beautiful casket, beautiful Pope casket it was called.
Yes.
So the guy arranged everything, and then he went with Osio to bring the casket out, to bring the casket and put in his vehicle. So we drove that um, to the hospital where he was going to be laid in like in a parlor. It was very well draped and everything. He was the only one there, and nobody knew that he came in. So after the following day, I said, Osio, are you not going to tell our relatives what happened? He said, no, Osio. Osio said, me, said, Mommy, let me have a break off one day. I'll think about it and consult with lawyer Christian.
Yes, I did.
And then he said, how do we get to announce it? I said, tell lawyer Christian to draft it for you.
Yes.
And then with what he drafted is what we used to announce. So if you remember, the following day you had drafted it and sent to her.
Yes, yes.
And then he sat on it for 24 hours,
Yes.
reading it. So after that, then he posted it to them
Yes.
on the email and media. And
We also did a film, but I don't. Something happened with it. I need to find it because we got pictures with him and his car and you, the family, and I put it. I did an article for the newsletter, which I will send you. I still have it, but the film is not active, so I need to find it.
So anyway, we took him to the parlor that was prepared for him. It was as big as this, and he was just in the middle. And I tell you a joke. So we had music on, and then I said to the mortician, I said, don't you think this music is too loud? He said, as long as he's not complaining. I forgot it that he was dead and he said, as long as he's not complaining.
Yes,
so
indeed.
we had a mortician that was standing by there, making sure that he was okay.
Yes.
And after about over a week, before the rest of the family woke up to the idea that he was back home.
Yes, yes.
And it took some time before we were able to bury him. Nearly 3 months. We didn't bury him till December.
Yes, I remember. In fact, I was brought the visa from the embassy at the church service. The embassy brought it to me, but I had a big case I couldn't leave. So I know I am looking to come soon. By the way, I spoke to Dr. Aziz.
Okay.
So he says, look, just send him the letter. He'd be happy to come because he's the chief surgeon, cardiac surgeon at George Washington. And I told him you do life sciences at the university. And this is an amazing story. And of course, the most important thing for us was that like you were satisfied with all your Dominican employees, you can tell me, were you satisfied with our work?
Very satisfied. Actually, we just forced some of them to retire. One is 90 now. The children went to celebrate his 90th birthday.
Yes.
He is, what is his name now? One is Huxley. The other is, what is his name now? I forgot his name now just now. Anyway, he just, the name is coming and going. Anyway, I remember. They just went, so his wife died. My children went with him to do the burial. And then, recently, he had his 90th birthday. And the children went with cakes, flowers, and so on to celebrate with him. And so he's like their grandfather there.
Yes, yes.
And he's still moving around, very smart. He's the electrician, very smart. And he was telling them, he said, look, they should tell me to be using rosemary, that he doesn't drink water. He drinks only alcohol and rosemary. So I said, that's serious. And he's 90. So anyway, he is very controlled.
Yes.
And very controlled. He with Vivi, he helped Vivi with her children a lot. Vivi and her husband had problems. So he was always with Vivi.
Yes.
If he needed anything, he was always there. So when the wife died, all the children, my grandchildren were in London, all my family, they were with him.
Yes.
When his wife died. And that was about 2 months or so ago. And
this is a wonderful story,
now, he just had his 90th birthday last week or so.
And what's his last name?
I can call them to let them.
Yeah.
What's
But it's Huxley.
No, Huxley is the first one.
Yes, yes.
This one is Bernie.
Bernie, yes, yes.
Bernie.
Was it the show fair?
Short and fair.
Yeah, yes, yes.
But Huxley was taller.
Yeah.
And darker.
Janet said to me that also your husband's chauffeur was a Dominican too.
Which? Well, I don't know which one he was talking about. No, the one that they know is was an Irish guy.
Okay.
I don't know the one she is talking about, but I can't remember any chauffeur that's a Dominican.
But I just want to say how proud I am of the Ibru family and what you've done in education because I said to someone, I was doing some research, you not only have the university, you also have some high schools. Am I right?
Well, we have a high school. We
Yes.
have actually. I'll tell you. I was running a bank,
Yes.
and when the government moved against me, and I
Yes.
thought, what am I going to? And my husband had died already.
Yes.
No, my husband was not dead then. He was still alive here. So I thought to myself, what am I going to do with myself? My husband is not there to look after. So, and we had started already. The concept of university was like a retirement project for two of us.
Yes.
And I had started working on it, but I was not all hands. One of my sisters I asked to sort of be the runner on it. So when this whole thing about the bank happened, I thought to myself, what will I do? I was very ill to start off with, but I recovered, and I knew that,
And Dr. Ibru, your PhD is in education.
in education.
That's what your
Actually, sociology is,
yes.
is my discipline.
Yeah, and you went to London University?
Yes, I went to London University.
Is that the same London School of Economics?
No, I went to London University.
Okay.
London School of Economics is different.
Yes.
They are part of the university, but that's a school of the London University.
Yeah,
So,
outstanding.
London School of Economics.
Outstanding.
So we did it. My father was big in education.
Yes.
My father was a lawyer, and before he became a lawyer, he was one of those that saw education must be done. And his father was white, the mother was native.
Mm-hmm.
Then he grew up to be one of, how it is, half caste. They think they can move the world,
Yes.
among the black. And he had that kind of mindset.
Yes.
And he, after some time, went to technical school, and the first thing he did was to come back and set up a technical school in our area,
Delta.
in our area in Delta. Mm-hmm. And then after some time, he now set up a primary school. Mm-hmm. They said the technical school, the feeder has to be the primary school.
Yes.
But many of us were not going to school at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So he used to go to the village and bring children from the village to go to the primary school. You don't have to pay any fees, just come. And when he died, somebody called me from America and introduced himself. I said, he said, your father made me. And I thought to myself, you are in America. I said, how come you're in America? How come my father made you? He said, when he was a child, my father used to come to the village to take them to go to school. And after that, go to the technical school that my father also founded. And from there, he learned a few things that enabled him to come to America and married an American, settled here. Then he was already 85. And they had got retired. They were now running an old people's home here in America. I don't know where he is now. Only 2 years ago, the